In this episode, the 2024 Major League Baseball Championship Series has begun. Devonte Adams to the Jets to save the season. Put a question mark there. Amari Cooper to the Bills. Is that a checkmate? And, of course, Russell Wilson to start for the Steelers. All coming up. Week number 7. Stay tuned right here.
It's time for the Bookie and the Bettors show. Live from Baldini's Casino. Beat the Bookie. Make every bet count. Reno's #1 sports radio show is now on streaming platforms. Now, introducing the Bookie, Rob Kowalski, and the Bettors, Randy Weig and Nick Schulte.
Welcome back to yet another episode of the Bookie and Better. I'm your host, Robert Kowalski, joined by my best friends here at Baldini's Casino, Randy Weig.
Hey, Rob.
Our Director of Marketing, Nick Schulte.
Hey.
Our Director of Everything. Thank you so much once again, gentlemen, for joining me. I went out it was Monday because I knew we were going to hit frost level temperatures is kind of the best way to explain it. Went out and played some hoops outside. Probably the last time I could play outside for a bit, unless I get really,
it's
extraordinary. But I think we're missing a recipe, gentlemen. Okay, so here, let me just play this out. I want to see if you guys understand. I'm not going to say where this was. Let's just say it was here in town. And I went out to play basketball where there were multiple courts. And it was pretty full. So I was involved in a full court game, several half court games to the left and right of us. So I'm going to present this to the both of you. You let me know, what would you have done? So you're playing in a game. Someone somewhere throws an errant pass. Ball goes flying. It's gone. It's down to the other game.
From another court?
No. Your game.
Okay.
Someone
gotcha,
turns the ball over. It ends up in another ball court where there's kids playing. What do you do in your game as you see the ball start flying down to other courts?
Well, if I'd seen it, hey guys, stop.
Yeah.
Loose ball.
Or
you just kind of stop playing, reset.
No, say, hey, ball.
Yeah,
Now wait a minute. I need to rephrase that. If the ball's rolling in front of the guy that just scored 20 on me, I may let him trip over it.
What I'm saying is that if you have a game going on and the ball gets thrown out, right, and it's way down and you're like, okay, yeah, I could run it down.
You can stop boxing me out now. Yeah.
20 other kids that are out there that can, I don't know, if you scream out, ball, what do you expect to happen?
Everybody kind of pauses and looks around.
I don't know. How about return the ball to us?
Oh, yeah.
We're losing the recipe. And I don't know what happened, right, from my generation to the next, but these kids weren't trained in street ball or just ball, I don't know.
Etiquette?
Courtesy,
ball
etiquette.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you call out ball, don't you think that someone might say, yeah, no problem, here you go, fling it right back?
Yeah.
We have really lost this show, haven't we?
No, it's part of a bigger picture because back in, our day, if there's we settled it on the court, either with our fists or with our play style. Now these kids today, they're just keyboard warriors. They go out and they just, they don't have that physical interaction, so to speak.
I'm staying on topic, by the way, Randy. This is sports.
I'm still thinking about that. I'll have to think about that.
No, you're telling me if you were playing hoops,
yes,
and the ball gets,
I would say loose ball, fellas,
yeah,
ball, fellas.
And if someone ignores that completely,
I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it.
So did you get your ball back, or did it end up in the truckie?
No, we had to actually go and retrieve it ourselves.
Oh. Yeah, well,
at that point, I just.
Well, we're in the middle of playing. You got to understand, they're in the middle of a game. Probably. They were playing.
That's okay. I don't see them getting paid for it. We weren't getting paid for this.
Well, it's not their
ball. You don't know what kind of NIL deals they got?
It's not their ball, so they don't care. They got their own game playing. You got your game, to each their own.
There's no common courtesy anymore, unfortunately.
Once again, we've lost the recipe, I think. So that's on us to teach the future.
That's a great opening topic, though.
I'm going to blame your generation for giving my generation participation trophies. That's what
my generation now is too old to chase the ball down.
There's that.
Yeah.
That also seems to be a you problem.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Now, to be fair, in golf, you yell 4, but then you don't return the ball.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I was told as well. I attempted to learn golf long time ago. friends back east know this story very well. I had a user set of golf clubs that I bought for $100 from my friend. Full set. He literally didn't want them. He was going to throw them out. So I go to the driving range to hit a ball for the first time ever. You would think that is
I thought I put
that is a $5 fine.
Yeah, put it
I
on.
am fining you right now. $5 on the counter.
Didn't I just put...
Anyway,
Sorry, folks.
so I'm out of the driving range. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I thought that by playing hockey for so many years it would carry over very well.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It was the worst experience of my life.
Yeah. I could not play baseball and golf at the same time. It's very completely different. I'm assuming I've never played hockey, but I'm assuming it's very similar in the way.
Well, the swing, right?
Yeah,
But
the swing and everything else. And golf, it's very muscle memory and very precise. I mean, you're off by a millimeter, and it's the difference between being 300 in the center or 280 out of bounds. So. We're going to talk about sports?
This is all sports.
Okay.
By the way, $5. I'm not kidding you. I'm fining you $5. You're either going to pay it here live on the show.
He's got an 8-teamer that's going to hit. He needs that $5.
Dodgers and Mets. Finally, that's where I think about 6 minutes into our episode. Casual rooting fans for the underdog here, which is probably the New York Mets, Nick.
I think everybody outside of Los Angeles and bandwagon Oshani supporters, I think they want the Mets to win, but my heart wants the Mets to win, but my brain and my sports betting account is going all Dodgers. So.
Stacy, are you listening, Stacy from back east? Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end. The Yankees they don't have the pitching to stand up with the Dodgers right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, so you think the Dodgers are going to sweep the Mets and then sweep the Yankees?
I think right now the Dodgers are the team to beat, even playing the Yankees. I think the Yankees are going to actually win in 4. We haven't talked about that, but the Dodgers right now with this pitching staff, if you get Buehler hot, Yamamoto, I believe, is throwing this next game. This pitching staff is a little better than what I talked about 3 months ago. So, and let's face it, if you've got the Dodgers healthy with that lineup and Muncy starts coming around, they'll give the Yankees a definite run.
I would agree with that.
So, ironically, the underdog in the NLCS, who ironically have the highest payroll in baseball, we're done with that. The topic's complete. You're already moving on to playing the Yankees, Randy Wyke?
Well, let's look at it this way. Haven't they been shut out in 2 of the 3 games?
Correct.
There's my answer.
What was it? I saw a stat. I think it was the last 5 or 7 games the Dodgers have outscored their opponents. What is it, 30-7?
Yeah.
In baseball?
In baseball.
Yeah, that's...
Nick, I think, look, Randy kind of fast-forwarded to next week's episode already. Guardians, big chance, little chance, or no chance over the Yankees. I mean...
Is there any good value on futures? Right now, if you took the Mets to win the World Series,
it's already baked into the number. I mean, you could get them on the series right now. I think it's like 3-1 to win the series. They'd have to win the next, obviously, 3 of the next 5.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. All right, favorites.
I always like opportunity, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
To the NFL, Randy, what do we learn from the Ravens win over the Commanders? Derrick Henry literally breaking spirits and wheels of opposing defenses. Are they the number 1 team in the NFL right now? Go ahead and tell me what you think about them. As we obviously look, we'll talk about the Commanders in a bit, but there's really not much that I could see from an efficiency standpoint that's any kind of a weak cog on the Baltimore Ravens offense.
Well, I was looking at this. If you look at the last 10 years of waivers, pickups, trades, has there been anybody more dominant than what you've seen Derrick Henry for the first 6 weeks? This guy is a beast. He is tough to tackle. I mean, he's bigger than any linebacker. Linebackers are having a tough time with him. And then, was it last week, he had the fastest touchdown of any NFL player. The guy is tough. I look back at all the major trades and pickups. I can't remember one where a guy has showed that he's dominant, and he is dominant.
I'd say Christian McCaffrey would be right up there. maybe close second.
He's got to change his tires first. But
Well,
sure.
there's some issues. But
Team better, Nick, a team better in the AFC than the Baltimore Ravens right now.
Well, according to the record, the Oakland Raiders, or I'm sorry, Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, you can't see you're the best team in football if you've lost to the Raiders this year. I'm sorry. They look great. Commanders, I felt like they played a great game. They kept it close. And I'm still not – I think Baltimore is one of those teams in the regular season they come out strong, and then come postseason they just can't get their act together. So I wouldn't say they're the best team in the AFC. I would still put that with the Chiefs.
Let's stay actually right here with the Commanders. You mentioned them. Do the Commanders fans finally have something to root for after 2 decades?
100%. I think, the new quarterback there he's looking good, running the ball, passing the ball, making good decisions. I mean, how many times have you seen a rookie come in and not throw the interception and not make that quick read and actually, so I think definitely if I'm a Commanders fan, I'm excited.
And Brian Robinson, let me tell you, they're running the ball well, which gives him a little, I would say a little help in throwing that play action pass, and he's doing a great job with it. But Brian Robinson's ran the ball well for the Washington Redskins.
Or Commanders, but that's okay.
Washington Commanders.
You're having yourself.
I say I'm on the old
You
school.
are having yourself one hell of an episode, Randy White.
I know.
I said Oakland,
Hey, I'm having open heart surgery.
Are we going to talk about the new owner of the Oakland Raiders? I'm sorry. I did it again.
Both of you guys. You know what?
Las
Both
Vegas.
of you. I'm fining both of you $5 each right now. This is insanity, guys.
I know.
Come on.
And so weather is frightening.
Tom Brady is a minority owner in the stake, correct?
10%.
He's not
10%. And technically he represents 10. Him and a partner, so he's got 5.
Okay.
Well, and they're getting all old players. Richard Seymour is part of the ownership now, the Raiders. So you look at this. What's going to be interesting, I think, when you look at it from the perspective of him calling some of these games. What has Fox got to be thinking right now? Because you got to be real careful. They itemize like 30 items.
He can't call the games anymore.
He can call the Raider game, right? He just can't say certain things.
He can't say anything negative about any of the referees.
Yeah.
Or any of the play penalties, if you will. He can't say anything negative about another team or another player.
But back to my point, he's going to be taking off games. So how much does Fox lose out of this deal?
I don't think that. I actually saw some kind of a graphic that showed all the bullet points that Tom Brady cannot do during a broadcast. While Nick takes a look for that, I wondered what it was.
So he's not permitted to be in any other team's facility. He's not permitted to witness any practices. He's not permitted to attend broadcast.
Any practices of the Raiders or NFL teams?
Not permitted to witness practice.
Okay.
So I would assume he can witness the Raiders practice, but he can't, and if you're going to have a media day and somebody out, obviously he can't attend.
Oh, because they're afraid he'll be trading. I got
exactly.
you.
He's not permitted to attend broadcast production meetings either in person or virtually. He is prohibited from publicly criticizing game officials or other clubs. He's subject to the NFL's gambling policy, and he's subject to the NFL's anti-tampering Deflategate policy.
I'd rather just say, you know what? Let's just void the contract.
Yeah.
It's really,
I think he used that contract to buy a 10% stake. So I think it's a great.
Well,
maybe just pass. You know what? You basically just stand there with a microphone and just smile. I mean, you really can't say much about it other than just real high-level vanilla commentary.
Yeah, no, we finally found something Tom Brady is not great at, and that's broadcasting.
Fox,
so.
I'm available if you want me to come in and take.
Yeah, no, that's
Tom's
okay.
spot.
Especially with you miscalling team mascots.
I'm available.
And everything else. We'll pass.
I don't know if you guys saw this. Was last week when Tom Brady was calling the Niners game, and the other commentator kind of dug the knife in a little bit and was like, "Oh, so when was the first time, Tom, you saw Brock Purdy play live?" And I don't know if you guys know this, but Brock Purdy's first start was against Tom Brady.
Okay.
And Tom Brady was, I believe, 6-0 up until that point, and then I think it was 44-14 was the final score.
Not good.
No.
Yeah, welcome to the NFL.
Yeah. Well, Brady lost, so
Exactly.
it was all
Exactly.
But yeah,
I wanted to touch on another pretty significant set of transactions that actually happened in the NFL this past week. We were talking about it for a couple of weeks, and it's finally come to fruition. Talking about the Brady's Raiders. But to call back, of course, back Monday night, the Jets did lose by a field goal to Buffalo. Mm-hmm. They missed 2 routine field goal attempts, committed 11 penalties.
It was like 210 yards with the penalties or something. In that game?
It was ridiculous. Way too much to win a game. But they acquired Devonte Adams, who was great with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. They have a very easy schedule the rest of the way. Nick, does this make any difference to you?
No.
The acquisition? Okay.
I think you sell some more jerseys. I think you sell some more tickets. You probably get a little bump in television revenue over it. And I think it does help their offense. I mean, it'd be stupid to say it didn't. I think, if anything, it actually helps Garrett Wilson. I think he's going to see, you're going to see kind of your defensive game planner scheme around that Adams Rodgers, and I think it's going to kind of open up some opportunities for Hall and Wilson. So I think it might help him there, but how many Super Bowls did Adams and Rodgers win in Green Bay?
Yeah.
So
exactly. Randy, any thoughts here on better, worse, or indifferent for the Jets?
Well, everybody's still missing the boat. What has Aaron Rodgers done this? I don't care if he's got Devonte Adams or not. He's not the same Aaron Rodgers. Get over it. He can't maneuver back there. He can't throw the deep out. We got to be realistic. If Devonte, unless he's going to do that quick slant, they're not going to get the ball to him. So it matters nothing. We'll see if I'm wrong. But the guy he's hurts the team right now, especially when you get in the red zone. If you've noticed, when they get down the red zone, he can't. It's like it's a new ball game. Yeah. So I think we got to face reality. When are we going to start putting blame on the quarterback instead of trying to get all these guys to help him and fire coaching staff?
I had a four-teamer going for just the Monday night game. I had a Josh Allen anytime touchdown. He's not passing. He's got to rush it. I had a Garrett Wilson anytime touchdown. The Bills -1 and Breece Hall anytime touchdown.
Condolences to your money.
Breece Hall was like the least amount. I think Allen was like a plus 1,600, or it's plus 1,200. Wilson was plus 800. That was going to be a big payday.
Now here's the other big question I have for you two. Sunday night, late game, 8:20 in the East. He hasn't played because of a hamstring pull. It's supposed to be cold, I believe, in the East. How well is Devonte going to play? You guys have to tell me, because I'm not buying it. He hasn't played all year with the Raiders because of his attitude, his contract, not happy. Now he's going to Pittsburgh where it's going to be cold.
Yeah, he's not. He might be on the field and suited up as a decoy, but they're not going to.
Exactly.
There might be some special hot routes, audibles, old school between him and Rodgers. Maybe. I think just having him on that field does help you.
And again, and I'm being honest when I say this. He's been able to get him from the 20 to the 20. But the red zone is where I see the biggest weaknesses with him right now.
Yep.
And hopefully Devonte can help him with that quick slant or the little hitch and go. Maybe he can do something with that. But right now, that's not Aaron Rodgers. And that used to be his forte. He'd pick you apart.
I would say both. This applies to both Rodgers and Adams. Their last time they had a good season, they were both in Green Bay. So it's been a while.
We're going to call back to that game in a little bit from a betting perspective. But one other transaction that happened, almost a checkmate, is Amari Cooper from the Browns to the Buffalo Bills. Now, I'm asking you this. Let's go, Nick, you first. Is Amari Cooper more impactful to Buffalo than Devonte Adams to the Jets?
I would say yes, just because you already have weapons on that Jets team. Nothing against the Buffalo Bills, but they don't have any they lost Diggs, obviously. Name the next breakout wide receiver on the Bills. Yep. It's kind of by committee, and they make it work. They're doing all right, and I think it's going to take a little bit for Cooper to kind of get up to speed with the play calling and game planning. But yeah, I definitely think, come end of the season, if they can make a playoff run, that'll be very impactful for them.
Randy, you think it's better than the Devonte Adams?
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you another little impactful thing here. Stephon Diggs was great. He was great with that little out right by the sideline, little toe tapper, if you will. Amari Cooper will do that deep post, and I'm telling you what, he's got a quarterback that can sling it. I think he's going to be. You're going to see some impact with him right away with that little quick post. Where Stephon didn't really do that, but Stephon could get away from you. Mm-hmm. But he liked that little crossing route and then try to run away. Yeah, this is going to be the deep post, I think.
Yeah, and you're right. I think Allen's got that arm, and he never really had a deep threat like that before. So
it does make sense. I do agree, Dick. I think Amari Cooper is going to take the place of that the routes that Stephon Diggs left behind. So very good point there. Little bit of a different format I want to take to tackling week number 7. I want to hit on some of the games that stand out to you most, but I want to highlight some of the games that are really impactful, the ones that I've seen that are probably most watched, most impressive, teams with both winning records. So I wanted to take a look at those and focus on those first. But remember, I have told you that I'm tracking every single one of your picks. So before we get to week number 7, let's take a look back at week number 6. Nick, you selected the Commanders plus 6.5. Sorry, you got hooked there. That was a loss. Over the total, easy winner. Falcons minus 6 with an alternate line. You say they'll win by 14. Yes, they did. I'll give you 2 wins on that. Oh. And then the Cowboys plus 3, I just wrote down LOL.
That cost me $5,200 this weekend for the record.
You didn't hedge off?
I had him. It was a middle. So what I had last weekend, I had a 6-team round robin, and just lost the Cowboys. I still hit one 5-teamer, but I would have hit one 6-teamer on what, 5-teamers.
Give out these picks to our listeners.
I got it up for this week.
Thing is, 11-9-1 is your official record through 6 weeks. Randy Wyke.
Not a good week for me.
The Commanders. Not enough. Ravens cover and way over, right? So I had to parse it some way. So I'm going to give you a win and a loss. You said the Lions over 52.5. That was a win. They almost got that by themselves. Broncos money line, L. They scored mostly in garbage time there. Cowboys money line, I wrote down LOL. Eagles by 30, I wrote LOL. And then the Jets money line.
It wasn't a good week.
2-5, week number 6. 18-4 on the NFL season. Still above 500.
That's a great
And that
stat.
is a plus in the ledger if you just break out everything that is minus 110.
Yeah.
It's a dog day weekend this weekend. Dog day.
I think if those of you that didn't pick that up on the treble meter, I think Randy likes the dogs. Let's start off with some of these earlier games, and actually the ones that I wanted to focus on. From the very top, let's go take a look at Houston and Green Bay. Houston and Green Bay. This is the early slate at the Book of Baldini's, a 10 a.m. start. We've got the Green Bay Packers 3.5. Let's just say 3. I'm going to use 3 as the number here. The total 47.5. Let's focus on that one first. So, Randy, thoughts here on Packers? Got themselves their quarterback healthy, looked very good last week. Houston, 5-1 on the record.
Well, and again, we'll talk about the other game, but this was one of my 2 top marquee games for the early morning games. Again, Texans, Packers, and Lions, Vikings. This is going to be a great game. And the Texans right now are playing as well as anybody. They are on the road. I haven't looked and see what the weather forecast was for the Packers. And, you got a little of the dissension out. Romeo came out and played well for the Packers last week. He got 2 touchdown passes. Was kind of in the doghouse during the week for missing practice. But this game, realistically, 47, I have this as a high-scoring game. I have this in the 54 range. Both of these quarterbacks, I think, can light each other up. I do like the Texans' front a little bit better than the Packers. But I still have this game as a high-scoring game. I think Stroud comes through in the end.
I was almost going to let you off the hook on a side, but you said Stroud picks it up in the end. I got you down for over 47.5 Houston, Green Bay. Did you want it to take a side here?
Or I'm going Texans. I'm going Texans.
Houston plus or money line?
Plus 3.
Houston plus 3. Nick?
I I can't get a side on it. I think it can go either way, either Houston or Green Bay. I think it depends on which team shows up. Now, kind of a little contrary to what Randy just said. Obviously, these are both pretty strong offenses, and historically, when we kind of see that, usually the first half they figure each other out. So, I would definitely look at the under, if not maybe even a first half under on this guy.
I'm going to actually thank you so much for going into derivatives. And once again, this is why I love my job. I just got an over and an under play, but you also said you wanted to go under in the first half.
Again, because I'd have to look what that half score is. I mean, if it came out 24.5 first half, I'm definitely going under. If it's 21, I'd think about it. So it really depends on what that line would be. But usually on these like really powerful offensive games like this, you'll see them figure it out that first half, and then that second half is just lights out. So
I have a number for you because, of course, I do.
Perfect.
23.5.
Ooh, right, milled me. I'm going under.
Okay, you could pass.
Under on the first.
No feet to the fire.
I'll do under on first half.
Next up, boy, oh boy, is this going to be a great game. The Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings. A combined 9-1 amongst the two franchises. We're going to have a really great line. This one is kind of jump between 1 to 1.5 to 2. So we're going to go and use 2 and 50.5, the current number of the Book of Baldinis. Randy Wyke, how do you have this one playing itself out? Vikings 2, the total 50.5.
Well, and again, this is one of those games that stymies you. Mm-hmm. The Lions against the Cowboys looked as good as any NFL team in the league and have actually been playing very well the last couple of weeks. Here we are, Vikings unbeaten, and they're a 2.5-point favorite. 3 some places, I understand. So I don't understand that. I just, you look at Goff and this team, I am so impressed with Detroit. I mean, this is one of my underdog plays. I have Lions all the way here. I think the Vikings unbeaten string ends, and I'm going Lions all the way, even though they're on the road.
Lions catching 2, so we'll just go ahead and call it a money line play for Randy Wyke on the Detroit Lions at Minnesota. Nick, anything different?
This is another one I just really don't like because you look at the Lions a couple of weeks ago when they played the Seahawks, and there was no defense whatsoever.
Right.
And then you look at them last week. I mean, you held Dallas to 3 field goals or whatever the final score was. I mean, and I think Dallas has a pretty okay offense. I mean,
I'm pretty sure the Lions played Kennesaw State last week.
Yeah, that could be it. So, again, both have great offenses, and then back to kind of what I just talked about in the Texans-Packers. Like, my gut says they might put up 100 points this game if the defenses don't show up, or they can scheme around them, and it'll just be a 21-17 game or something like that. So. I'm staying clear of this one.
The one thing I will say, though, Robin, along those lines,
it's going to be a fun game to watch.
If you look back to the last 8 years, a big game, whether it was an interdivision game or against a major, let's face it, America's team, the team the following week usually doesn't cover. Usually they slumber. Whether they've kind of had a little meltdown, they got too jacked up, and with the game before, in this case, would be the Cowboys. But I still think they're the better team.
I had initially when I posted the number, I said, of course, check the health report, and the one that was the most critical is quite possibly the best defensive player in the league, Aiden Hutchinson's out, broke his legs, out for the year. That was the deciding factor in what's going to happen in this line. There's no way I was going to shoot it up to 3.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to make it pick because I think the loss of Hutchinson, you scheme against him.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Just like you scheme against Jones on Kansas City. So with the loss of him, I think it's going to make some real significant offensive planning significantly easier for Minnesota, that is. So that's why you're probably seeing it anywhere between 1.5, 2, 2.5. But
how many touchdowns, Justin Jefferson?
Well, we can definitely say, I would say if we had an anytime touchdown prop for Justin Jefferson, I can't possibly seeing it being a plus.
Oh no!
It would probably be -120.
Yeah, I think really the bet would be, will Justin Jefferson score over or under 2.5 touchdowns? Yes or no? I mean, that's where you're going to get it. But
Nick, is going to be a pass on that one, but do tune in. Sometimes it's just best to. It's okay to pass.
I think it'll be a great game. The lines I think are really close. I think it can go either way, and historically I've never been very good at picking totals, just because I'm like, oh, it's going to be a huge game, and then it's And I mean, who wants to bet on the under? Nobody wants to.
No one wants to bet on the
exactly.
It's watching paint dry.
Exactly.
Okay, 1:00 slate. I got a great game here. Obviously, Kansas City Chiefs are at San Francisco. We've got this game opening as
How is this not the Sunday night game?
This should have been.
NFL, figure it out.
We opened this one up. Kansas City won, and we've had the old flipperoonie. We've got San Francisco as a 2-point favorite. The total is 47. Nick, I think you've been chopping at the bit for this one.
There's a difference between my heart and my mind. So
that's a shocker with this team.
So Kansas City money line.
Yeah, I don't see how you can take an undefeated team and if they're getting points, not bet them. And then I always like to say the trend is your friend. You look at the last 6 matchups these teams have had. Last time the Niners beat the Chiefs was 2014. So
I love putting you in these uncomfortable situations because everyone is very familiar with your fandom.
Yeah.
But catching points here seems inevitable here from a betting perspective.
Again, I'm never betting against my team, so I'm not touching this game. But I'd love to see the Niners win. I just don't see it happening.
I'm going to give you a pass officially on this one then and see if I can pull out a ticket out of Randy here. Kansas City, San Francisco, Randy. How does this go for you?
I'm telling you right now, Fred Warner will play the best game of the year. He has a lot to play for because he didn't play that well against them last year. He's going to have a huge game. I love the 49ers here. Again, I think the unbeaten string goes away for the Chiefs this week. And again, to your point, no question, they're unbeaten, and they just find a way to win. But I think the 49ers have a lot to play for. They are at home.
There's some bad blood for sure.
Yeah, exactly. and I think this early in the season, I say this early, 7th week, you're still going to have where you're going to have those little edges, and that's where I give the Niners the edge.
Laying 2 is Randy Wyke with San Francisco. As we move on to just the last couple of games here before we take a break. Jets and Steelers, we talked about the transactions that happened there. We didn't talk about Russell Wilson as the new starting quarterback. Obviously, Tomlin must have seen something in practice leading up to this coming week.
So we've got 2 quarterbacks that equal 82 years of age in this game?
I am telling you right now that prior to the deal of Devonte Adams to the Jets, the Steelers were a 1-point favorite. Since then, the Jets are now a 2-point favorite with a total 39. Randy Wyke, have at it.
Can we put these 2 on the Madden game and play this out? Because I'm serious.
Yeah. Can you go back and explain to our listeners exactly how that happens? It's not like you made it that way. It's people bet it that way.
Correct.
That's why the line moves.
That's all it is. I have nothing to do with this. This is the beauty of it. You
guys think the Steelers should be favored in this. And
that is correct.
And then the second that trade happened, all the money came in on the Jets.
Right.
And obviously the line's going to move with that. So mathematically speaking, the Steelers are still the favorite.
You give 2 points or so, 1.5 to the home. That's the variable that you attach from a point spread perspective.
2 points. So that Niners Chiefs is a pick 'em then. With that logic,
it is pick 'em. That is correct. Right. I actually have Kansas City just a margin like decimals higher. So if we take a look at it from that perspective, it's actually as close to a matchup as you can get. I mean, they're 4-2. Mm-hmm. The Pittsburgh Steelers are. It's the Jets that are 2-4, right? You just have to go off of their body of work. Now just let the public go have at it. And choose out
and here's
the
the thing: and granted, there was a couple of missed field goals in there, a couple of turnovers,
gimmies.
Gimmies, but ended up 23-20. This game has really a Steelers offense that really hasn't proven anything yet, but their defense
4-2, but they haven't proven anything.
Yeah, I like the under in this game a lot. I like the under 37.5. Again, the defense is definitely up there, top notch with the Steelers. I have the under in this game. My feelings. I don't believe that Devonte is going to be a threat in this game, and they may use him as a decoy. But if the guy's been hurt and hasn't been able to play, how can we expect him to make the big go-to difference where this is going to be up and down the field with Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to make you feel really good about your pick. You said under 37.5. Is that correct?
Yes.
You're actually going to have to go under 39.
Okay,
39.
good. So everybody's betting that Devontae's going to
Adams
score.
moved it up a point and a half.
There you go.
But you're going to get to go under 39.
Thank you.
Nick.
I like the Steelers. Is there any historical data between matchups between Russell Wilson and Pittsburgh?
No, there isn't.
Different conferences.
They
play maybe once every 4 years.
You just have to go back. All you have is to look back at what he just did with Denver. I mean, for me, I have to parse out the number and I see the difference between Fields and Russell Wilson. Just take a look at what he did in Denver, Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Tomlin must have seen something that said, I remember last year what you did with Denver, and you're markedly better for me to say I'm starting you now in your first start of the year.
Which I don't understand because with the Jets defense, they're going to they got a decent rush. And again, I would think obviously Fields is more can maneuver a little bit better than a Wilson. And again, I think both of them are wearing George Blanda cleats with shoes. Both of them were wearing the high top cleats. So I'm not sure on this one. I got the under.
Nick takes +2.
I will take +2 Steelers, and I'm not touching it, but as a fantasy owner of both Garrett Wilson and Bryce Hall, I hope it goes over.
Very good. Okay, duly noted on that. You're catching 2 with Pittsburgh at home. Randy's going under 39. Extra 1.5 points bonus for him. And so we'll move on to our final game Monday night. And what I wanted to take a look at was the Ravens and Bucks. Talked a little bit about the Baltimore Ravens and their incredible start to their season despite their 2 losses. Tampa at home, 4-2 on their season as well. And they are catching 3.5 with a total 49.5. Nick, we'll go ahead and start with you here. We talked a little bit at the top of our show about the Baltimore Ravens and what they've done. Tampa has, for a quarterback that's absolutely been, had sand kicked in his face and been disrespected, Baker Mayfield's going to have quite a season this year. Mm-hmm. He's got a full repertoire that's surrounding him right now. It looks like the running back room is looking fantastic because it doesn't matter who's catching the ball or receiving it down from behind them. It's great result no matter how it plays itself out. I mean, one can say, well, it was the Saints defense might be significantly different here, but total 49.5 tells me otherwise. I will let you chew that up.
Well, before we had the previous conversation, I liked the Bucks, but now I'm factoring in the Bucks are home and that extra 2 points. So really the Ravens should be favored by 5.5 based on your math. Oh, I still like the Bucks. I think it comes down to a field goal game, and that half point's gonna make you or break you.
A very good point. Especially when you take a look at how Tampa seems to want to just stick around.
Yep.
In most games, I mean, especially at home, and that's what I've found, at least in the number here. We'll probably see a change in the way the market plays itself out over the next 2, 3, 4 nights. But as it still stands right now, Randy Wyke, 3.5 with a pretty high total, almost 50 here, 49.5. How do you got it?
Well, and again in this game, I still think the Ravens secondary is suspect. Again, you've seen kind of what the Cincinnati did against them, and basically even what the Raiders did to an extent of throwing the football. Mayfield, the kid still amazes me. He's still like he's at Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to make this game close, and I agree with you. I think it's a field goal game. I think Tampa Bay covers. I think this is letdown week for Baltimore. Again, they're playing Monday night. They've had a couple of emotional weeks in a row. I like Tampa Bay here.
To recap it, makes things nice and easier. Nick, 3 plays, under 47.5 in the Houston-Green Bay game. 4 plays, also under 23.5 in that same game in the first half. Steelers +2, the Buccaneers +3.5. Randy's going over 47.5 in the Houston-Green Bay game. Grabbing +3 with the Texans. Detroit money line, 49ers -2. Under 39 points with the Pittsburgh Steelers game. And then the Bucks, as took Nick, +3.5. Well, that was fun.
You want me to give you my 5-teamer round robin for this week?
Please, right into the camera with that.
All right. So I definitely like the Bengals -5 over the Browns. Liking the Colts -3 over the Dolphins. I mean, that team is just turn out the lights.
Wait a minute. Joe Flacco, isn't he like 49 too with Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson?
Have you seen the Dolphins play lately?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I think Flacco's wearing the Georgia Blanda high tops.
Yeah, could be. I like the Eagles -3 over the Giants. Like the Rams -5 over the Raiders. And my final Monday night play, Chargers -2.5 over the Cardinals. Again, it's 5-teamer. I always round robin, take all the 4s and the 5s. That way, if you miss one, you still at least get your money back. Unlike the miss one and still win card here at Baldini's, you don't even have to round robin. Just take it straight up.
And again, best card in town while you're bringing that up. You can lose one game and still win.
Oh.
Wow.
Take a look at the detail here at the end of our episode here. The graphic will show you what that card actually pays. I can't still find anywhere in our state a book that's offering a parlay card that does a consolation. So pour over this here as I'm speaking it and kind of voicing over what the detail of this card looks like, because it's quite popular. It's actually starting to outright the basic half-point card. You could see where the magic starts to happen right around the 6-teamer. That's where you start to get the consolation, obviously. So only here at the book at Baldini's.
Now, hey, one little point, Rob. Again, take the dogs. If you look back in history, week 7, dog days.
With that said, Randy says dog days, and don't forget one of his official picks is San Francisco -2, not a dog. That's it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to see you again next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Bettors Show. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be the first to know when new episodes drop. Hit that subscribe button and join us.